The date was June 1st, 1921, when Black Wall Street, the name fittingly given to one of the most affluent all-black communities in America, was bombed from the air and burned to the ground by mobs of envious whites. In a period spanning fewer than 12 hours, a once thriving 36-block business district in northern Tulsa lay smoldering, a model community destroyed, and a major African-American economic movement resoundingly diffused. The night's carnage left some 3,000 African Americans dead and over 600 successful businesses lost. Amongst these were 21 churches, 21 restaurants, 30 grocery stores, and 2 movie theaters, plus a hospital, a bank, a post office, libraries, schools, law offices, and a half dozen private airplanes, and even a bus system. As could be expected, the impetus behind it all was the infamous Ku Klux Klan working in consort with ranking city officials and many other sympathizers. The description of Black Wall Street, or Little Africa as it was also known, would be to liken it to a mini Beverly Hills. It was the golden door of the black community during the early 1900s, and it proved that African Americans had successful business infrastructure. That's what Black Wall Street was all about.
13th anniversary of the worst attack on American soil. September 11th, 2001. We must remember that date. We must always remember that date. We must never put it behind us. We must never say, well, it's in the past, let's move on. We can never move on. The other thing that we must remember is that we're not any safer today, maybe less safe than we were on that day. And part of the reason is because this administration has eviscerated our military. We've not gone after our enemies, and our southern border is wide open.
Matt, what happened in 9/11 was a crime against humanity, and America should always remember that and work diligently to make sure that that never happens again. But no government can keep its population totally 100% safe. So we must do our due diligence to send a message to those terrorists that if you're successful in striking America, we will hunt you down like the criminals you are, and you will pay the consequences. But also, I think that we should do a better job in this country of educating the American public. The first time that airplanes were used to kill hundreds and potentially thousands of people in this country was not September the 11th. It was in the 1930s in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when on a Sunday afternoon, white people who were jealous of the prosperity of an entire black community's wealth got in airplanes and bombed their
less than a minute
and killed hundreds. And some studies say up to 4,000 African Americans were murdered in Tulsa, Oklahoma using airplanes.
What has that got to do with 9/11? What has that got to do with what the hell we're talking about?
Because you said, how do we remember? And what I want you to understand is we should remember 9/11 the same way we remember Tulsa, Oklahoma, and what happened with that terrorist act against black people.
Let me explain something to you, Quanell. These people in the Middle East, like ISIS, they want to kill you, they want to kill me, they want to kill your kids, they want to kill everybody. So instead of making this a racist argument, let's talk about Americans. We're all Americans, right?
And Matt,
so let's protect this
the hundreds, potentially thousands that were murdered in Tulsa, Oklahoma were Americans being murdered and slaughtered by terrorists who were Americans also. So don't tell me that when white people are slaughtered in New York, and yes, they were, and black people died too.
What are you talking about?
All races died in New York.
There were Catholics, there were Muslims, there were Jews, there were Asians, whites and blacks.
Yes,
all
a
kinds
crime
of people
against
killed.
humanity. But remember, the first time it happened was when you did it to black people in Oklahoma using airplanes. Chickens come home to roost whether you like it or not.
Wow, man. You know what? The reason why this country is in such dire shape is because people like you have lost focus on what made this country great.
And America, they didn't make this country great. Everybody in this country made America great, but pay all of its citizens the correct homage and treat all of us equal. The first terrorists were not them from Arabs. It was right here in America.
Notice how he says we must always remember, we must never forget. So when something happens to them in large, everyone is expected to remember, everyone is expected to feel sorrowful or to feel some type of anguish for them. But when you want to talk about what they have done to you, that's where the problem comes in. They tell you these words. We hear these words all the time. Get over it. That's in the past. Or my ancestors did that, not me.
Thus saith the Lord my God, feed the flock of the slaughter, whose possessors slay them, and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not.
The level of hypocrisy we see today is astounding.
We must remember that day. We must always remember that day. We must never put it behind us. We must never say, well, it's in the past, let's move on. We can never move on. We must remember that day. We must always remember that day. We must never put it behind us. We must never say, well, it's in the past, let's move on. We can never.
Finally, the connection. Tonight, a few lives remembered from the civil rights era. They would have been in their early 60s now, grandmothers perhaps, maybe nearing the end of their careers or enjoying retirement. Instead, Denise McNair, Carol Robertson, Addie Mae Collins, and Cynthia Wesley were killed 50 years ago today in one of the worst acts of violence during the civil rights movement. They died on a Sunday morning when the church they attended, the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama, was bombed. This recollection is from a new documentary called Preserving Justice.
My teacher, Miss Wesley, her daughter was one of the ones who was killed in that church bombing, Cynthia Wesley. And I can remember seeing her sitting on the stoop outside the emergency room crying.
This man survived those very dangerous times, even though he was a civil rights attorney who worked with Rosa Parks and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His name was Demetrius Newton, and he was interviewed for the same documentary.
I saw two white police officers manhandle a young black girl that I knew. And I think it was the catalyst that perhaps led me to choose a career.
Later, Newton became the first African American to serve as president pro tem of the Alabama House. He died at the age of 85 earlier this week. 50 years after that church bombing, he was fondly remembered by both black and white Alabamans. And those four girls who lived such terribly short lives were remembered throughout Birmingham. This morning, bells tolled at 10:22, the time the bomb exploded, and the Sunday school lesson that was interrupted that day was read from start to finish.
Okay. All right. The day Philadelphia bombed its own people. Now, there's a different version of this on Brighteon. I had to redo this for YouTube. They talking about copyright strike. Well, copyright, they didn't strike. So I'm going to have to read this one. I did a video about how America has a history of bombing black Americans. So I'm just going to read this article from Vox. All right. The day Philadelphia bombed its own people. All right. Then it's saying an oral history of a 1985 bombing that changed the city forever. All right. As the smoke rose from 6221 Osage Avenue, Philadelphia, residents watched through their windows or television screens in a state of stunned disbelief. This city had just bombed its own people. Now keep that in mind. These are black people. On the evening of May 13, 1985, long-standing tensions between MOVE, a black liberation group, and the Philadelphia Police Department erupted horrifically. Now, you look at the history of the police department from since its existence, all the way up to now, 2020, it's pretty much the same. Open season on black people. That's just point blank what it is. There's history to support this. So let me read on. That night, the city of Philadelphia dropped a satchel bomb. I did a little research. Some sources said that was C4. That was C4. And I believe it was C4 because the helicopter dropped the bomb, flew off, and then it exploded. I believe it was C4. Oh yeah, that's what. Okay, that's what it said down here. Okay, satchel bomb, a demolition device typically used in combat, laced with Tarvex and C4 explosive on the move organization. Okay, it was C4. Okay, who were living in a West Philadelphia row home, known to be occupied by men, women, and children. This nation has always waged war on black men, women, and children. We should know this by now. That's why I do what I do. I don't do this because I like doing it. I don't even do it because I want to do it. I do it because we keep falling for the same traps, tricks. At least become harder to kill. At least my people should be harder to kill. All right, let me move on. It went up in unextinguished flames. 11 people were killed, including 5 children and the founder of the organization. 61 homes were destroyed and more than 250 citizens were left homeless. Okay, here's a picture right here. You see the part that was burned down. Now ask yourself, if this was a white neighborhood, would the police have done this? Show me the history of police bombing white neighborhoods. Come on, talk to me. Show me the history where police being reckless around around white women and children. Show it to me. Drop a comment. Show it to me. Let me move on. Look how wide an area this is. How many was homeless? Okay, 61 homes. This is wealth. This is money. People that lost their homes. That's just wasted money for them. Then some of them, then people died and then they're homeless. All throughout history, we black people have been homeless as white residents move in and steal from us, take our land, burn our houses down. It's the same history. All right, more than 250 citizens were left homeless. One but a handful of people the police was after. But see, when it's black folks, all of us might as well be guilty. Okay? Y'all got to realize that. Okay, here, a view of Osage Avenue in Philadelphia just 2 days after a shootout and bombing between the police. That's the aftermath. Well, let me move on. All right. For the next several hours, the confrontation with MOVE would be remembered as an ordeal that transformed the fabric of the city. The show of force, unjustified to many, even the government said it was unjustified. You see how they're trying to protect this. Look at the words the words they're using. Look, the show of force, unjustified to many. Well, I guess so. If you don't care about black folks, it would be if you don't care about, you be the rest. If you care, it would be unjustified. But if you don't care about black folks, you wouldn't be a part of the many. Solidified mistrust between Philadelphia residents and the government. The story is a parable of sorts. It's a parable of how the unthinkable comes to happen. Okay. I guess you could check this source out. I didn't check it out. Let the Fire Burn. A documentary about the bombing. It's a tragedy, in my opinion. Everyone who was an adult in the city fell. Collectively, whole city fell. Okay, MOVE, not an acronym, was a political and religious organization whose principles were anti-government. Some of you white folks, y'all might be listening to this. I try to keep y'all in mind when I'm talking. But what had the government done for black people for us not to be anti-government? What had they done? Was it the slavery? Was it the compliance with the Jim Crow laws? Was it compliance with the KKK by not doing anything to stop out this domestic terrorism? Is that the work the government did on our behalf that we should trust them and not be anti-government? Anti-government don't necessarily mean you want to go blow up the government. It don't mean you want to go kill people. I don't want to go kill people. But that also doesn't mean that we're going to let them kill us. I'm trying to give it to you as simple as I can give it to you. If something ain't working for us, then yeah, I'm against it. I'm anti-government then, because it ain't working for me. This government don't do nothing but try to mass incarcerate us, put drugs in our neighborhood to kill us, all kind of stuff. So just keep that in mind. Anti-technology and anti-corporation is creative. Think about this though. Those of you who are claimed to be grafted in and believe in the Messiah and the coming kingdom, this government, all government on the earth is going to be gone. You can forget about this technology that you have here now. It's going to be gone. Corporation going to be gone. Just a thought. All right. Let me skip down. He was a Korean War veteran. Now, what would this brother do? Now, the guy, he was Korean War. What happened that changed this guy against the government? Is it the black veterans that fought in their wars and come back and the government keep on treating them like they ain't nothing? I don't know. I did another video about the millions of black veterans denied GI loans and stuff like that. But anyway, let me move on. All right. They say it still exists today. Let me get down here to the meat. All right. Members frequently had this run-ins with authorities. In 1978, Move engaged a 15-month standoff with then Mayor Frank Rizzo, notorious for a volatile relationship with black residents and activist groups, ordered the group to be removed from their home. It didn't say he had a volatile relationship with all groups. Remember, this country was founded on racism. All right. The confrontation ended in the death of a police officer, for which 9 members of Move, nicknamed the Move 9, was controversially convicted and given life sentences. Okay, them guys paid for the crime. So what y'all gonna say? Since 9 members of the group Move was involved in the death of a police officer, which we don't really know, because you don't know if they telling the truth or not. But let's say the 9 was responsible for the death of the police officer. According to this thinking, we should call all Christians the Ku Klux Klan then. Say they want to murder all black folks. We should say all white people want to kill all black people, according to this logic. If you think the death of a police officer is an okay move and excuse to bomb and kill women and children, then you are insane. I know how some of you Europeans think. You see that death of a police officer, so that makes you all right with this up here. Okay then, what if it was black people that did this to you? Be careful if you said it's all right, because you might get your wish. I'm not gonna be the one to do it. I'm telling you, it'd be somebody in your own nation. You Europeans appear to be killing your own selves now. But let me continue. Let me see. Okay, relocated to a middle class African-American residents in Osage Avenue. The neighbors continually complain about the city with trash around their home, their row house, confrontation with residents, and that Move members broadcast sometimes obscene political messages by bullhorn. I could understand if the bullhorn would make somebody aggravated, but I'm not going to co-sign for this just because I can't get along with somebody. This is what they fear right here. This is what they fear. Black people getting along. That's what they fear. Now, this is what they fear. This is what they don't like. They want our hair to look like them. They want us to adopt their customs, their ways. They want us to act like, and even if we do that, the racism gonna be still going on strong. It ain't gonna matter. Now, I know some of you Europeans, are you black people that think you're European, they'll see this and say, oh my God, they got guns. But when you see white people with guns up in the state house, in the courtroom, you don't see no problem with that. You don't feel threatened when you see white people go up in the state capitol with guns, taking pictures. But when you see black people with guns, it's a problem. All right. But anyway, I just want y'all to see that they bombed. Let me read this. I'm going to skip down. You can read this article yourself. It's on Vox. VOX. The day Philadelphia bombed its own people. I'm going to try to wrap this up. You want to read more? You're welcome to it. But all right, only 2 people survived the bombing. Ramona Africa, then 29, and a child, Birdie Africa, then 13, later known as Michael Moses Ward. Moses. Both were badly burned despite 2 grand jury investigations. Probably all white jury. A civil suit and a commission final report that cited the bombing as reckless. Okay, why did nobody pay then? A crime was committed. The children didn't do anything. Nobody goes to jail when it's black people. But we supposed to be supporting this government. Ill-conceived and hastily approved. Now, if this would happen to white people, what would happen? Would they even bomb a white neighborhood? I just want people to wake up to the hypocrisy. No one was ever criminally charged for the attack. Okay. They locked her up. All right. And then at the bottom, it gives some more names and stuff you can look. All right. That's Ramona right there when she was younger. But y'all do your own research on this. If you want to see the video version of this, check out Brighteon. All right? Shalom.